Good afternoon, Sales Academy followers, listeners, watchers, tweeters, LinkedIners, everything in betweeners, podcast listeners. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the interaction. I love the messages that we get, and I get mostly messages directly from listening to these podcasts and stuff. And I love the fact that there's a big back catalogue of podcasts that people go and listen to, and it's still hitting them because it's hitting them for the first time. You know, when they listen to these podcasts, the episodes, you forget sometimes as a podcaster that you've created some content that is still having that ripple effect and people are noticing it and coming across it for the first time, sometimes years later. So I truly appreciate you guys being here. Today's music is around a principle, and I wanted to share some of these business principles as well because they're really useful. So, and it's a principle that I've been utilizing and teaching and stuff for years with businesses, and I challenge people to kind of look at. And if you've got a pen and paper, it's really helpful. If not, just imagine this in your mind. But if you can imagine a pyramid or draw a pyramid, you're effectively looking at 3 points of this triangle, right? And the 3 points of the triangle are capacity, resource, and pricing. Capacity, resource, and pricing. And the whole point of this principle, it comes up for different reasons with clients, but it's one of these things that come up fairly regularly, and you talk to clients, and sometimes the same clients about it as they grow, or they vary their offering, or they just reach another plateau and they haven't changed things for a little while and stuff. But I don't think it's always an answer of, oh, just if you want to increase your turnover, increase your pricing, increase your fees, because yes, that can be done, right? And you can do it many times without people leaving, because it costs a customer time and effort to choose a different supplier to leave, right? But I don't think it's just the answer. So I'll give you a classic scenario. Somebody I was working this out with recently, and they had 3 products, 3 price points, 3 programs, if you like. And their high ticket price of the 3, the higher ticket price, when we calculated the amount of hours and resource that goes into it and how much time it takes them, it actually worked out that they were earning a less hourly rate, a smaller hourly rate than they were on their smaller package. And it's bizarre because it's not uncommon for people to put a pricing structure together like this, but they haven't necessarily considered all of the time so all of the pre-work that has to happen, the time they spend with the client, and then the post-work that has to happen for them as well. So what they've done is priced up the time with the client because that's what the client sees, but they don't necessarily see all this bit. So that's just part of it, right? No. This is all about your skills, your knowledge, your value, your worth, and you're charging for the value that you bring to that time, not the amount of time that you bring. And I see this with employees. I see this with business owners and stuff like that. It's like, stop employing people and looking at their hourly rate and thinking, oh my God, that's quite a lot of an hourly rate, because you're comparing that to what you're paying yourself. And as a director of a company in the UK, for example, you're paying yourself like, what is it, 675, I can't remember now the exact number, on a monthly basis as a director. The rest comes from dividends. So the salary is that. So if you do that kind of comparison, you're only going to shoot your own head off. Do you know what I mean? So capacity, pricing, resource, it's always coming into it and going, okay, so if you take X amount of clients on, at what point would you be at capacity? And they're like, what do you mean? It's like, well, when would you burn out? When would you physically not be able to service your clients well because you're at that point of there's only one of you, or there's only 3 of you in the team, or there's only 4? At what point are you running at? And currently, to get to that question, the answer to that question, we need to understand what capacity are you running at now. So if you've given yourself a 30-hour working week or a 40-hour working week, are you fee income all of that time? No. So what is your working week, and what capacity have you got within that for fee income work? Because you've also got your marketing, your accounts, you've got other things to do. So what is your fee income part of that? And work out what that capacity number is, right? Because then if you look at, well, I've got, say, 20 hours capacity for clients. Well, if it's 2 hours with each client, you don't need to be a great mathematician to go at 10 clients, you're maxed out. So at that 10 client point, do you need to bring somebody else in your business to be able to take on more clients? So do you need to employ somebody, freelance, whatever? Do you need to bring a partner in? I don't know or do you look at a waiting list? So what are your options at that point? But you're doing that decision based on capacity. And at what point is there a tipping point where you go, right, our capacity is now affecting our resource to be able to carry out the service. So we now need to focus on developing our resource. So like I said, whether that's recruiting, employing somebody, self-employed, freelance, even what VAs and all that sort of stuff, whatever it might be. But at what point at your capacity outage are you going, now I need support? You wait until you're maxed out, because I believe me, at that point, you won't have the time or the headspace to do it. So what's the trigger points? So if you're measuring that capacity and understanding that, you can start to put the trigger points in, because when it gets squeaky bum time, because you're running out of time, now you can start looking at, plan the resource so that there's that smooth transition, right? And it's like, so then you get to the whole point where you've got the three of them working together. You've got your capacity that you're managing on a regular basis. You're constantly reviewing what capacity you and your team members operating to and at. What do you want that to be? What's the optimum number? And then what's the scary number if it drops below that, that actually you're really not performing as a business, right? So what's your capacity? How do we resource to the capacity of growth or stability? What is it you want? And then what is the resource you need to do that? And then how effectively are you pricing yourself to be able to do that? Because are you very, very busy with capacity and resource, but actually you're charging and not making that much money from it? So sat with a business literally the last few weeks, they haven't put their prices up for 2 years. Understandable, because not all businesses need to put their prices up. It's not necessarily on their priority list and stuff like that. But actually the supply chain that supplies into them, that's changing on a weekly, sometimes daily basis. And it's certainly not costing what it was 2 years ago for them to serve their clients. So we are constantly, as business owners, looking at different things. And this is just a simple measure, simple metrics that I want to share with you. Get it written down, have a little play with it. And then if you want to come and have a conversation with me to understand it specifically for your business and what it means and how you do this properly, then that's part of what we do, guys, right? It's all about training, education, knowledge, support, accountability to implement what we learn. It's not about theorizing about this shit. It's actually about doing stuff with it so we get better, right? Business doesn't get easier, we get better. So capacity, resource, pricing. That's the kind of triangle I want you to think about. That's it for today, guys. There'll be more of these coming. I'll be sharing these little snippets with you. I think they're going to be useful. And it just puts a different slight onto the podcast episodes. Cool. Have a brilliant week. Get in touch. See you soon.